Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Afterfauve. And Afterfauve asks if I can speak to the magically based origins of swear words and why bad words are bad. And I'm quite certain that I'm not going to address the issue that Afterfauve actually wants me to address, but I do have some things to say about the whole idea of swear words, or bad language in general, because of course technically terms such as swearing and profanity and cursing do not refer to the same things at all. They're quite distinct, but in people's minds they are synonymous. And it seems that every society has certain words that they consider prohibited. And these are generally used as a class marker. People who are either members of the upper class or identify with the upper class eschew these words, and people who are either members of the lower class or identify with the lower class embrace them. And you can look at pretty much any culture and see this, but what you will also see is that what those bad words are often drastically different. And if you look at predominantly Catholic countries, for example, it's so-called swearing that is usually considered highly objectionable, that is using religious-based terms. And if you look at predominantly Protestant countries, you will often see that it's so-called profanity that is the issue, things that are sexually based. If you look at a number of other historical societies, you'll see they're class-based terms. And in the contemporary US, we tend to be moving, I think, largely toward racially and identity-based terms as being our bad language. And you see throughout all of history this phenomenon. I saw a website recently which suggested that ancient Egypt did not have any swear words, which is absolutely ridiculous. But the author obviously was looking for modern American-style swear words, which they did not in fact have, at least in their temple writings. But I assure you they had terms that they considered to be insulting and inappropriate, and you can certainly find them in other writings. But they weren't the ones that we would consider insulting and inappropriate, and you know, many cultures throughout history have used words as swear words that, when put into English, sound absolutely silly. One of my favorite examples actually comes from English, but from the Elizabethan era. Queen Elizabeth was known for swearing a great deal, swearing like a trooper, so to speak. And one of her frequent phrases was, "God's teeth." God's teeth? Really? But this was apparently considered terribly spicy language at the time. Things change. People's idea of bad language has everything to do with what they value and what they denigrate, and it changes constantly. It certainly changed a great deal during my lifetime. And there were words which were totally forbidden when I was a child, which by the time I was an adult were no longer forbidden, and now that I'm getting old are actually quite common. And I see this happening on a continual basis. And it seems like what the US considers to be bad language is drastically changing in character, but that's only to be expected. And you find that throughout history and throughout the world. And this also has relevance to every other aspect of life. People's understandings, their beliefs, and their values are constantly changing and evolving. And to understand life and to understand history, you must understand this. And if you don't understand it, you'll never really comprehend what you're looking at. So those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them interesting, and until next time, may you blessed be. Pray for peace. Pray for love. Pray for stability. Pray for the nation where you live. Pray for the world. Hello! This is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you for Pagans Tonight Radio. Pagans Tonight Radio is an online radio network with different hosts and different shows 7 nights a week. There's something for every taste, including Spanish language programming on Saturday evening. Check out paganstonight.com today.